Come on, bitch, let's go. Come on, get ready, bitches. You haven't seen nothing yet. Come on.
Valentino, Versace, Lamborghini, Bugatti. I got money to burn. I'm single and I'm naughty.
Come on.
Tiffany's, Cartier, Gucci on Marty.
Come on.
Break out your black card, boys. It's time to party.
Okay, so if you're like me this week, you were so blown away by Kris Jenner's facelift. I mean, it was amazing. Now, she announced it as an aesthetic enhancement, and she did it for Lauren Sanchez's bachelorette party because they've become besties. Lauren Sanchez's thirst is real. And people wondered, what did she mean by aesthetic enhancement? And I do believe that she got some facelift. I'm not sure if it was a full facelift or a mini facelift. It seemed to be a traditional facelift either way, because Dr. Levine, who was her doctor, doesn't do deep plane facials. Now, patrons asked me to talk about this a little bit today. So for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to tell you all the work Kris had done and just tell you some things I've learned in my research to doing a facelift. If you're not interested in this topic, you could jump ahead about 6 minutes and then you'll get into another segment to do with gossip. Now, there's a lot of benefits, pros and cons to deep plane facelifts, but a lot of doctors refuse to do them because it's very easy to make a mistake and cut a nerve in the face in the way that the deep plane facelifts work. And there's no, scientific data to show that it's any better, a deep plane facelift to a traditional facelift. I learned this in my own research. So really, truly, you're fine to go with a traditional facelift. You just need to find an expert doctor that does it with your aesthetic that you like in mind, because every doctor has a different idea, like human beings, of what is beautiful. So you have to find a doctor that has the same kind of idea of symmetry that you like and enjoys recreating a jawline that you want for your own face. Now, this doctor is very, very good, Dr. Levine. He seems also to not price gouge. A lot of plastic surgeons that are very established will warn you that when you start to go to plastic surgeons that are charging over $100,000 for a facelift, especially when they're doing a traditional facelift, even if they're amazing at their job, they're now gouging on the clout they've been able to build up in the media and doing their celebrities. I heard that Dr. Levine's mini facelifts are $40,000 plus, which is a fair price point for a person of his level. If they were over 100, I'd be like, that is a doctor who just doesn't want to get out of bed anymore to do surgeries because of the fact that he's just made so much money and he doesn't care that much anymore in terms of, doing a lot of clients now. He just wants to do the very few people that can support his demand on price. But the truth is, a real doctor who wants to just practice his beautiful art of making faces masterfully better is charging between $40,000 and $100,000 a facial, but under it, not over it. And he's including other things in that, like neck lift, maybe your eyelid lift below and above. So I just wanted to say that to you because there's a lot of doctors with a lot of clout that are overcharging people. And I almost got taken by one myself, a very famous one. Now, I can't afford my facelift yet, but someday I will. And I can't wait till that day comes. From the pictures of Kris, it does appear that this doctor has given Kris Jenner a really nice, profound jawline and neck lift. I mean, she just looks really wow, 30, 40 years younger and natural looking. He kept her look, her face look. I think he actually made her face better, which is really saying something. Now, allegedly, Lindsay Lohan used Dr. Levine on her glow up, and Demi Moore also allegedly used him for her facelift, which might explain why they look so amazing to so many people, because he's really got the neck and the jaw down. Because where it really starts to get bad as you get older is the jowls around the mouth and the sagging around the jaw and the neck. That's where you see so much age, especially if you've already gotten your eyelids done, because eyelids also, wow, what a difference that makes. Huge difference on people. So, at this point, Kris has had a lot of surgery done. She's had a hip replaced, she's had her lids done, her neck done, her earlobes done, 2 facelifts, although I don't know to what degree, whether they were mini facelifts or whether they were full facelifts. She's obviously had her neck done too as part of the facelift, but the results are astounding for her age. Now, for all of you guys that are like, I can't afford this in my wild dreams, if you find an excellent filler person, and I do mean excellent because there's a lot of filler people that suck and they make your face look like an alien. We've seen it with Brandi Glanville. But if you look, you can find a really good expert injector. And what they can do if you're going into your 50s, like what I had done, is they can do some injection of filler, not too much. I say that like over and over to you. You can never undo a bad overfilling of your face, okay? Even if they inject you with that stuff that makes it disintegrate, your face could get dimples or droop. There's a million problems with that. So you never want to do too much, always too little. You just have them do a little under the eye and the cheek area. And again, I will say it just a little. And then you have them do around your mouth. And it actually, along with Botox on the jawline, Botox in the nose, will give you a very similar, for a year, mini facelift look to the lower part of your face. Also, of course, Botox in the upper neck, again, will mimic a facelift result. If you want to see what it looks like, you can look at my lives under the tab in YouTube where I do them with Kim D once a month, and you can go back and see the last one I did is like post-filler Botox treatment that I just told you. And the one before was when I didn't have it. And you're going to see the symmetry it fixes and how I look like all of a sudden I went to sleep for like 100 years and woke up much younger. Now, if you're super old, that isn't going to work because you need something dramatic because you've lost so much of the elasticity in your skin. But if you're like in your 50s, this will hold you over for when you can afford to get or find a doctor like Dr. Levine or the same or better, because again, just because someone is more expensive doesn't make them a better doctor. That is so important to hear. Let me tell you who trained him so you know. Dr. Daniel Baker, and he's still practicing. And maybe he isn't doing the Kardashians, so he's maybe less money than the kid that got in with this crowd, of celebrities. Like he might be more old school, like I just want to do my work and do it well, and I don't want to be involved in all that celebrity crap. So it's possible Dr. Baker could be an excellent solution for someone. He's also based in New York, and he trained Dr. Levine. So I don't know, I'm just saying there's options and hope, because I know a lot of people get really sad when they see celebrities get these amazing glow ups and they're like, wow, why can't I do that? I wish that I could do this, and there are ways, you guys, to sort of chisel together a similar outcome if you do your research. You don't believe the hype and the bullshit, because I saw people going around saying that she had gotten some special surgery of facelift, which is why it was so great. And I looked into it because I was like, oh, did she? No, she didn't, because this doctor doesn't do that surgery that they were referring to. And then I found out that surgery is more dangerous than a regular facelift and may not even improve the results. That is all bullshit that's being peddled by those doctors that do that way because they want to be able to upcharge for it. As you guys know, I'm a complete advocate for women spending money rather than on Louis Vuitton bags, spending it on their physical well-being, health, whatever beauty thing they need to do to make themselves feel better. Keep the Louis Vuittons, keep the Chanel bags. Like, this is everything. Your health and your well-being is it all. So I do this little intro to remind you of that. Now, I want to tell you some shocking things about Jared Leto that you probably haven't heard anywhere else, and I'm going to drop them now. As you guys know from my bonus audio on Tuesday, if you're a Dishing Drama Dana bonus member and you get those, NT and I did a show, a two-parter called Gross Guys of Hollywood. And Jared was featured in this two-part series that I did with NT. This was quite a while ago now because NT and I don't really collaborate anymore because turns out he might be a gross guy of Hollywood too. However, that aside, and I have a whole collection dedicated to what happened with Enty in case you're curious in my Patreon. You can go in there and click on collections and see it as you scroll down into the different categories that I have in the shows I do. But that said, I love that show. And I love part 1 and part 2. And there was a lot of information that was brought to the table in it. It wasn't one of those where Enty's like, I met Jared Leto and slept on his couch for a summer. And here's what happened, which I wouldn't believe anymore. But it was an excellently researched show by 2 people who, have years of doing research. And in my case, being on TV and in the entertainment industry for over 30 years. So it's like, it was a good show from that perspective. Like, I don't need to make it like I, slept with Jared to give you the tea, right? Like sometimes happens with CDAN. And that turns out not to be true. That said, controversy and scandal aside, he's a good researcher. However, I wish he was more transparent with where he's getting his information from instead of trying to make it seem like it's more legitimate than it truly is, which is what the blinds do. They make you think that, this celebrity reached out to Enty and told some secret tea and now he's teasing it to us. And that's just not how those are made. I know how they're made, but to each their own. That aside, I did a big bonus audio about Jared. And in that bonus audio, I told a bunch of stories about why these sexual assault, rape, harassment murmurs are circling around Jared Leto. And I was going to leave it there. But then I realized that Jared Leto gave an interview where he said something really sick when he was method acting for the Joker part. And then he denied that he ever said it later. And I thought, wow, this guy's a real sociopath because he can lie, like so obviously lie publicly. So I had to start the show today to play that for you because I like to do that. So this is Jared Leto proudly talking about how he sent used condoms to his cast mates when he was playing on the Joker. Yes, you heard me correctly. Let's start with this clip first.
Now, how about the gifts you gave everyone? Yeah. Rats, bullets, a hog. Where did that come from?
Don't forget the anal beads.
Who did you send anal beads to?
The used condoms.
You did not.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
Step back, Fred. You can't just say used condoms and we're just gonna forget.
I know it's a family show, but we can educate people here. At least they were used.
Who did you send used condoms to?
Oh, everybody. Maybe they didn't want to tell you, but no. I mean, I did a lot of things to create a dynamic, to create an element of surprise, of spontaneity, to really break down any kind of walls that may be there. I mean, the Joker is somebody who doesn't really respect things like personal space or boundaries.
Beginning to tell you the weird things I got.
What did you think?
I mean, by that point, I kind of felt like I knew the Joker a bit, so it wasn't as alarming. But yeah, there were many instances where I didn't know what to expect.
There's a number of gifts from Jared.
He sent people used condoms.
Yeah, he sent used condoms and sticky Playboy magazines.
Now listen to him denying that he ever did that. After not only confirming it himself on the red carpet, but also having Margot Robbie and his other co-star confirm that he got a used condom from him and that Margot was pretty disturbed by some of the things he did. I think she was trying to be supportive, but also didn't want to kind of say it was okay either. I mean, and now listen to him lie. This is going to blow you away.
The Joker, some stuff just took on a life of its own, and everything that they do, I mean, even you, when you write something, I feel totally different. Some of the stuff that you do can go viral or get written about, especially with the Joker, some stuff just took on a life of its own, and then most of it was total bullshit.
What exactly did people get wrong about the Joker?
I mean, I just think that there were some things, that were mentioned about, like, gifts and the fact that I was giving used condoms to people, which was not true.
We can say that right now. That is not true.
It was not true. And what are you going to do at that moment? You can't even, it doesn't matter how loud you shout or hold up a sign, with your pants off in Times Square. People are going to go with the story that they want to run.
Right.
And it just wasn't true. I gave rap gifts to everyone, And on set, we were all laughing, and people were thrilled to give them. They were given whatever the Joker would give was the idea.
Right.
And I didn't even really put them together. Basically, it was my team and my assistant, and we were all having fun with it. And it was really touching at the end of the set, to go and give the gifts, and we would film it and stuff, and people would open up and they'd be laughing. There'd be like a porno magazine, like plus 60 or whatever,
right.
Whatever it'd be funny, or it'd be like, whatever would be absurd and outrageous. And for us, it was almost like an art project. Mm-hmm. We were all like putting it together in the trailer, and to see it kind of taken and manipulated, taken out of context, and to be made this really horrid thing, and then to have people speak about it like it was offensive when it was anything but. It was in good fun and lighthearted and everything that it should have been.
What a different story this is from the other one I just played you. So Leto literally was the one who said that he sent everybody used condoms, and we heard his cast members confirm it, and then he pretended like he never said it and that he never did it and made up a whole made-up story about it to cover it up after the fact. So now your question to me, whether you've heard my past shows or not about Jared, is do I think they're going to come for Jared like they did Russell Brand in the UK, who, by the way, is having his trial next summer. I really want to go to it. Yes, the answer is yes. I think this is going to get legs because the people who teased that they felt violated by Jared and his weird sexual shit were not minors at the time. But there have been many allegations that Jared Leto, in his communes, he sort of set up, I want to call them pop-up communes, during his concerts where he did music, definitely slept with underage girls. That has absolutely been alleged. And so for that reason, the underage girl part, I think they're not going to just let this one go. I mean, look what they did with Weinstein. He was super powerful in Hollywood and he got taken out. I met Weinstein once when he was negotiating a deal for a film, and he wasn't gross to me, but he was also immersed in discussing money. And I'd say his next favorite thing to ask was money. Probably money over ass. If you guys remember, he was convicted of 7 counts back in 2022 in the jurisdiction of California for rape, forced oral copulation, and third-degree sexual misconduct. And for that, he was sentenced to 16 years in prison. But the whopper was he was given several terms of 16 years, and they wouldn't let him do any of them concurrently, which means he basically got life in prison for that California conviction. But then New York took a case against him, and he was accused of raping actress Jessica Mann in a New York hotel room in 2013 and forcing oral sex on 2 other women. 2 of those charges he faced during his original trial, and the third one of the charges of forcing oral sex was added last year. Weinstein was begging for his life in this case, which is just wrapped up the other day, because he's already got basically life in prison with the California case, but he's like, my life is on the line, and you know what? It's not fair. It's time to say this trial's over. So begging for the jury to reconsider what was being alleged. One of the jurors complained that other jurors were being pushed by people to change their minds and talking about information beyond the charges. A different juror felt that another juror was being treated unfairly, and he wanted to be excused from the case because of it. Weinstein's attorneys wanted a mistrial over all of this. I don't blame them at all. I mean, it is very disturbing, some of the allegations the jurors were making and what was happening in the room, and technically are absolutely inappropriate for a jury in a case like this, even if you hate the guy. And of course, there were very powerful witnesses to consider. There was a former television production assistant, Miriam Haley, actress Jessica Mann, who I mentioned earlier, and model Kaja Sokola. And they had, all been casted couched by him. In the end, the jurors found Weinstein guilty of assaulting Miss Haley, but found him not guilty of assaulting Miss Sokola. And after a delayed deliberation, the jury found that Miss Mann's rape charge was declared a mistrial. However, you guys, let's just call it what it is. Harvey Weinstein was, whacked a long time ago, right, from society. He has cancer now. He's going to die in prison. All of this is just what we would call a theatrical production. But in Harvey Weinstein's case, he earned it. Now, this whole conversation brings me to Baldoni, Justin Baldoni, who just got his $400 million lawsuit dismissed against the New York Times and against Blake Lively, etc. Now, you know that I do my best to give you guys details so you can kind of understand better what's really happening instead of these bullshit headlines that everybody's releasing to kind of tell a narrative that benefits whoever's releasing them, to be fair. And in this case, I felt like it was really needed for me to get into a little nitty-gritty for you without a lot of emotion so you guys can ponder this, because it upset a lot of people. But I have a slightly different take, which is Baldoni won in getting his case dismissed, not lost. And let me tell you why. But before I do, something to note is that the judge did allow Baldoni to reconfigure some of his lawsuit against the New York Times and Blake Lively. He has to redo it and refile it, and it has to be on breach of contract, not on the extortion, defamation that he was trying to do before. Now, Lively and Ryan Reynolds and the publicist Leslie Sloan, who works for Ryan and Blake, requested that their attorney fees be paid to them back by Baldoni. And the judge denied without prejudice this request. So they didn't get their attorney fees yet. They'd have to go back in and try again in a different way to get them. So in a way, financially, Baldoni won this round because they had to pay to go up against him a lot of money, and they didn't really get anywhere except to get the lawsuit put away, right? To dismiss it. But the truth is, I'm not sure Baldoni ever expected to get $400 million. I'm pretty sure Baldoni just wanted to get his side of the story out through a complaint targeting the New York Times and Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds. So for the people that are very pro Baldoni, you have to be a little more clever than what's happening on the surface of everything. Because in truth, Baldoni wanted all of his fans to know what he felt happened to him and be able to release the information in the public sphere under a lawsuit so it could never be really considered him, like, say, slandering Blake Lively or libeling Blake Lively in the process. Now, this is why his case was dismissed in the first place, because you cannot fault a person for dropping information about something that's done to them in a complaint. You can't sue them over that. So what he was doing the whole time was saying, listen, Lively went to the New York Times with all of this fabricated narrative on incomplete text messages, etc., that she provided and justified to the New York Times that she had been sexually harassed on It Ends With Us movie set in multiple ways. And there were things that were done inappropriate by the sexual harassment rules that come up under SAG since 2018. They've been working at trying to help actresses out of this kind of, exploitation in movie sets, right? And there's loads of protection when you make allegations of sexual harassment in the workplace, even if you're a contractor and it's a movie set, that you can utilize that are going to be more powerful and trump other allegations such as breach of contract, etc. And I'd say that Blake Lively's ginormous law firm of over 1,200 lawyers and her Harvard-educated lawyer, Harvard Law, knew this when they chose their way of approaching the litigation against Baldoni. However, what we've learned about Baldoni's attorney is that he doesn't necessarily play the short game. He plays the long game. And what I wanted you guys to get out of this is that Baldoni was able to protect and tell his story through this complaint and his website that he said he was going to drop the evidence on, etc., which he was allowed to do regarding this case as part of his complaint because he was going to file it in the public domain anyway to get his story out, which is what he really wanted to do, because in the end of the day, he didn't ever believe that he was a sexual predator that was harassing Lively on the set, and all of this stuff was fabricated to take control of the film away from him and slander his name and potentially have him lose the option to a sequel of this film. So who's really the winner here, right? Lively and Sloan had to pay legal fees right now to fight something where Baldoni ended up getting his entire narrative and evidence out to the public in such a massive way that he literally made people despise Ryan Reynolds, who nobody thought that was even possible, but also Blake Lively, who was like a little darling to the world up until, fashion darling up until like a year ago. And then everybody starts digging up her clips and shit where she's a bitch or she lied or she said she wanted to get control of the movie. And so was this a failure, this dismissal? Was it? I mean, he managed to break up one of the most powerful friendships in Hollywood, Taylor Swift and Blake Lively. So was it a failure, this dismissal? Or was this what was always intended with this filing? Because his attorney's no dummy. And I'm pretty sure he was bright enough to know that the judge was going to know that any allegations made in a lawsuit are exempt from libel claims. I'd say that's pretty 101. Now, on the flip side, Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and Leslie Sloan are going to take this dismissal and they are going to scream from the rooftops like they have been vindicated on every single thing that they have done in all of this. But the truth is, this has nothing to do with whether or not Baldoni sexually harassed or did something inappropriate on the set with It Ends With Us. It has absolutely zero to do with what is the meat and potatoes behind what Lively was supposedly doing this all for. This is merely a technical win for them, but they're going to lie to everybody and make it like it was, oh, look, see, we're right. And everybody, and Baldoni and his team, they're wrong, because people don't read and they don't listen. And thank God my people do. Now, here's the fun part. Blake Lively's case against Justin Baldoni still exists. And in that case, she does have to prove in a civil litigation that Baldoni did the wrong thing. And a jury is going to look at this and see if they believe her. Now, if they don't believe her, then he is going to have a claim against her for a lot of money because another court decided that what she did was inappropriate, that what she said wasn't true. For the full scoop, join the Dishing Drama Dana Patreon. The link is in this audio description. It's only $6 a month and you'll get the best information and tea about the things you care about and even the things you don't know you care about. What are you waiting for?